Hello everyone, this is John Hashmat and welcome to Physics Simply. In this video I will be solving the paper 2 exam for February-March 2024. So let's get started. Question 1 says a student has a measuring cylinder containing water and also has a balance. Which of these could she use to find the volume of a small metal sphere? So we need only the volume, not the mass, so we don't need the balance. So anything containing balance, we do not need it. So the measuring cylinder containing water only, yes, this is the answer. Neither measuring cylinder nor balance, no, we need the measuring cylinder to find the volume, so the answer is B. Question 2 says the diagram shows a solid object on a flat surface with two forces acting on the object. What is the resultant force on the object? So we have two forces opposite to each other, so we consider one positive and one negative. So the total or the sum of the forces will be 4 minus 3, which is 1 Newton. And it is towards the greater force, which means that it is 1 Newton to the right. So the answer is B. Question 3 says a ball is falling towards the ground. Which transfer between energy stores is taking place? So for anything moving downwards, it loses gravitational potential energy. So it's from gravitational to something else. And anything falling under gravity, it has an increasing speed or increasing kinetic energy. So gravitational potential energy is converted to kinetic energy. So the answer is C. Question 4 says which row contains one scalar quantity and one vector quantity? So energy is scalar, mass is scalar, momentum is a vector, distance is a scalar, velocity is a vector, time is a scalar, weight is a vector, temperature is a scalar. So we need one scalar and one vector. All these have either two scalars or two vectors. Only A has one scalar and one vector. Question 5 says the table gives data about 4 liquids W, X, Y, and Z. None of the liquids mixes with any of the other liquids. All the liquids are put in the same container and settle to form 4 separate layers. So we need which layer floats over which layer. So we need to calculate the densities. So we divide all the masses by all the volumes. So 10 divided 10, that gives 1. 20 divided by 15, that gives 1.3. 30 divided by 50, that gives 0.6. 40 divided by 50, that gives 0.8, which means that the 0.6, the Y will be at the top, and the heaviest or the more dense liquid, which is X, will be at the bottom. So for order, we have Y at the top, then after that we have Z, after that we have W, and then we have X at the bottom. So choice A says W forms a layer below X. No, W is above X, so it's wrong. X forms the top layer. No, Y forms the top layer. Y forms the bottom layer. No, X forms the bottom layer. Z forms the layer below Y. Yes, so the answer is D. Question 6 says a weightless beam is balanced on a pivot as shown. Forces P, Q, and R act on the beam. Which equation is correct? So if this is the pivot, we have clockwise moment at R, clockwise moment due to Q, and an anti-clockwise moment due to P. So if it is balanced, then the clockwise moments are equal to the anti-clockwise moments. And we have two clockwise moments, R multiplied by the distance from the pivot A, plus Q multiplied by its perpendicular distance from the pivot B, is equal to the moment of P multiplied by the distance from the pivot D. So we check the choices for something that resembles this equation. So P times C is not accepted since the distance from P to the pivot is D, not C. And then we have P times D, which is alone on this side, plus no if we move this bracket to the other side, because we have R times A on the other side. This goes with a negative sign, so we choose the one with the negative sign. So the answer is D. Question 7 says an object is moving at positive 3 meters per second. A force acts on the object. After a time, the object is moving at a velocity of negative 4 meters per second. The mass of the object is 5 kilograms. What is the change in momentum of the body? So the change in momentum or the impulse is equal to the mass multiplied by the change in velocity. So we multiply 5 times negative 4, which is the final velocity, minus the original velocity, positive 3. That gives an answer of negative 35 kilograms meters per second. So the answer is A. Question 8 says the diagram shows a column of liquid. The pressure due to the liquid at the bottom of the liquid is 6,000 newtons per meter squared, which is Pascal also. What is the density of the liquid? We can use the equation pressure is equal to rho GH. So pressure 6,000 is equal to the unknown density times G 9.8 times the depth, which is 50 centimeters, but we need to convert it into meters, so it will be 0.5. And then we divide by this bracket to get the density. That gives an answer of 1224.49, which we can approximate to 1200, so the answer is B. Question 9 says, which statement correctly describes a change of state? A gas condenses to form a liquid. Yes. Liquid melts. No. Liquids don't melt. Solid condenses. No. Solid boils. No. So the answer is A. Question 10 says, the diagram shows a pan used for cooking food. Which row is correct for the materials used to make the base of the pan and the handle of the pan? So for the base of the pan, we need a good conductor, and for the handle, we need a poor conductor, so that heat is transferred easily to the food inside the pan, but not easily to the person holding the handle. So the answer is B. Question 11 says solar heating panels consist of pipes carrying water that absorb radiation from the sun. Which texture and color is the surface of the pipe so that the temperature of the water rises at the quickest rate? So we need a black surface, but a dull surface, not shiny. So the answer is A. Question 12 says, when pollen grains in water are viewed through a microscope, they are seen to be in continuous, rapid, random motion. What causes a pollen grain to move in this way? It is not convection current, bombardment by a single molecule, not a single molecule, uneven bombardment on different sides by water molecules, yes. Collisions with another pollen grain, no. So the answer is C. Question 13 says a circular flat bottom dish contains 100 centimeter cubed of water. Students are asked how to increase the rate at which the water evaporates. Their suggestions are listed. Pour water into a flat bottom dish of greater diameter, so that will increase the surface area. Cool the dish in and water, no, that will decrease the energy, so less molecules will be able to escape. Create a current of air over the dish, yes. Increasing wind speed increases the rate of evaporation, so 1 and 3 only, so the answer is C. Question 14 says matter consists of very small particles in a continual state of motion. Which row describes the behavior of particles in a liquid? So in a liquid, the forces between molecules are strong, not weak, and they do not move randomly at high speeds. At medium speed or moderate speed, high speeds are given to gas molecules. They vibrate but change positions, yes, so the answer is B. Question 15 says the diagram shows the equipment used in an experiment on the heating of aluminium. So we have a heater connected to a voltmeter and a meter and a power supply, a thermometer inside the aluminium block, and there is an insulation around the block. The table gives the results of the experiment. So we have the mass, a voltmeter reading, a meter reading, and time, and the specific heat capacity of aluminium. What is the maximum possible temperature rise in the block? So we use the equation Q is equal to mc delta theta or delta T, but Q can be converted to power multiplied by time, or electric power can be converted to voltage times current times time, equals to mc delta theta, and we need to calculate the change in temperature. So we divide VIT by mc, and we have the voltage 12, current 5, and time 300. Then we divide by the mass 0.80 times the specific heat capacity 900 joules. That gives an exact value of 25 degrees Celsius, so the answer is C. Question 16 says the diagram shows a wave. This is a displacement from undisturbed position on the y-axis and position or distance along the x-axis. Which dimensions describe the properties of the wave? So P is not the amplitude, it is twice the amplitude. So A is rejected. P is not the speed, you cannot see the speed on this graph. R is amplitude, yes. R is amplitude, yes. And Q is the distance between two similar points, that is the wavelength. So the answer is C. Question 17 says, which row describes some characteristics of an image formed in a plane mirror? In a plane mirror, the image is virtual, not real, and it is the same size as the object, not diminished, not enlarged, so the answer is D. Question 18 says, the range of audible frequencies for elephants is 10 Hz to 12,000 Hz, and for horses is 55 Hz to 33,000 Hz. Which statement about the range of audible frequencies for a healthy human ear, which is from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz? The human ear can hear all sounds heard by both elephants and horses. No, 10 is less and 33,000 is more, so no. The human ear can hear all sounds heard by elephants. No. The human ear can hear all sounds heard by horses. No. Human ear cannot hear all sounds heard by elephants nor horses. Yes. So the answer is D. Question 19 says, an object is placed in front of a plane mirror. The ray diagram shows a reflection of one ray of light from the object by the mirror. So where does the mirror form an image? The image of the object is right in front of the object and behind the mirror at the same distance from the mirror, and it is formed by the extensions of the ray, so the answer is A. Question 20 says, light refracts as it enters glass from air as shown. Which expression is equal to the refractive index of the glass? So the refractive index is equal to sine the angle in the air over sine the angle in the other medium, which is glass in this question. So the angle in the air is actually between the ray and the normal, so it is 90 minus theta 1. And the angle in the medium is theta 2. So we need sine 90 minus theta 1 over sine theta 2, so the answer is C. Question 21 says, light traveling at speed 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second strikes the surface of a glass block and undergoes refraction as it enters the block. The diagram shows a ray of this light before and after it enters a block. So we have an angle of incidence 55 degrees in air and angle of refraction 33 inside the glass. What is the speed of light in the glass? So there is an equation for the refractive index, which is equal to the speed in air over the speed in the medium, and it's also equal to sine the angle in air over sine the angle in the medium. So we use the second parts of the equation. So the speed of light in air is 3 times 10 to the power of 8 divided by the unknown speed is equal to sine 55 over sine 33. So we multiply 3 times 10 to the power of 8 by sine 33, and then we divide by sine 55. That gives an answer of 199,464,448.2. So this is a million, so this is 1.99 times 10 to the power of 8, or 2 times 10 to the power of 8, so the answer is B. Question 22 says, which row about converging lenses and diverging lenses is correct? So for converging lenses, always produces inverted image? No. Sometimes it's upright when it's virtual. Can be used as a magnifying glass? Yes, that's the case of virtual. Can be used to correct short-sightedness? No, long-sightedness. Can produce real and virtual images? Yes. On the other side, we have can focus a parallel beam of light? No, it diverges the beam. Do not have a principal focus? No, they do have a principal focus. Are usually thinner than converging lenses? Not necessarily. Can be used to correct short-sightedness? Yes, so the common answer is D. Question 23 says, a charged rod X is placed on a balanced and another rod Y is brought close to it. So when rod Y is brought close, the reading on the balance increased, which means the rod X is pushed down, so this is repulsion. And repulsion can only occur when there are like charges, so negative charges and negative charges are okay. Positive and negative, no. Even if there is an uncharged rod, there will be an attraction force, so the answer is A. Question 24 says, what is the unit of potential difference? Potential difference, voltage or EMF all have the same unit, volts. Question 25 says, the diagram shows a transformer. We have 550 turns on one side with 22,000 volts. And on the other side, we have 115 turns and an unknown voltage. We need to know the output, which is the secondary voltage. So we can use the equation Vs over Vp, secondary over primary, is equal to Ns over Np, the number of turns. So V as the unknown divided by 22,000 is equal to 115 over 550. So we multiply 22,000 by 115 and then we divide by 550. That gives an exact value of 4,600 volts. So the answer is C. Question 26 says the diagrams show two arrangement of a pair of identical bar magnets. 3 points P, Q, and R are shown. At which point is the magnetic field due to the magnet's weakest? So we check the polarities. We have at the top here two like poles, which means the point at the middle is a neutral point. So there is no magnetic field at P. So the weakest point will be at P. And the strongest point would be at one of the poles, which is R. So the strongest at R. So the common choice is B. Question 27 says a nichrome wire P has a length of 1 meter and diameter of 1 millimeter. A second nichrome wire Q has a length of 2 meters and diameter 2 millimeters. So same material, but the length is multiplied by 2 and the diameter is also multiplied by 2. So if the length is multiplied by 2, the resistance will be also multiplied by 2. If the diameter is multiplied by 2, that means that the area will be multiplied by 2 squared. So 4, according to pi r squared. And area and resistance are inversely proportional, so resistance will be divided by 4. So combining these two, we have the resistance multiplied by 2 over 4, which is half. So the resistance will be halved. So the choice is the resistance of Q is 1/4. No, it's 1/2 of B. Yes, so the answer is B. Question 28 says a student has two resistors. One resistor has a resistance of 2 ohms and the other resistor has a resistance of 40 kilo ohms. Which statement is correct? When connected in parallel, the combined resistance is 1.9. When connected in parallel, the combined resistance will be 2 ohms. So we need to calculate in parallel. We can use product over sum. So 20 times 40,000 divided by 20 plus 40,000. That gives an answer of 1.999, which when approximated actually becomes 2, not 1.9. So we choose B. And checking the other choices, connecting in series, it cannot be less than either of the resistors since we add resistors in series, and it is not 42 ohms because there is a kilo in this, so it will be 40,002, not 42. Question 29 says, in which circuit do both lamps light? So for choice A, the diode is connected in reverse to the battery before the branching of the lamps, so none of the lamps will work. Same in B, the diode is also connected in reverse. In C, current can flow through the lower lamp, but checking the other lamp, the current would be going in the same direction as the diode, so this is working. And D, the diode is actually pointing in the opposite direction to the current, so the lower lamp will not work, so it's not D. The answer is C. Question 30 says an isotope of strontium has a nuclide notation 84 and 38. How many protons and neutrons are there in a nucleus of this isotope? So the proton number is obvious, 38, and then we calculate the number of neutrons, 84 minus 38, number of nucleons minus number of protons. That gives an answer of 46, so the answer is A. Question 31 says a student is investigating the count rate of a radioactive substance. How must he adjust his reading for the background count? So we do not add background, it's already added. We do not ignore it. We subtract the background from the reading. We do not need to take repeated readings. It will not help. So the answer is C. Question 32 says, what occurs during nuclear fusion? Two light atomic nuclei join, yes, and emit energy, not absorb energy, so the answer is A. Splitting nuclei occurs in fission, not fusion. Question 33 says, a beta particle enters a uniform magnetic field directed into the page and deflects downwards as shown. Which direction of electric field would also deflect an electron downwards? So if we need to create an electric field, we need two oppositely charged plates, flat plates. And downwards means we need to place the lower plate with a charge that attracts an electron, so a positive charge at the bottom plate and a negative charge on the top plate. And the electric field is pointed from the positive to the negative charge, so this is up the page, so the answer is D. Question 34 says the radioactive isotope radon is an alpha emitter. During this radioactive decay, an isotope of polonium is produced. How many neutrons does a nucleus of isotope of polonium contain? So for the radon, we have the number of neutrons 222 minus 86. That gives an answer of 136. And since we emitted an alpha particle, which is 2 protons and 2 neutrons, we lose 2 of the neutrons, so we get a final answer of 134. So we choose C. Question 35 says, which statement gives 2 safety precautions to take when a person is working with ionizing radiation? Decrease exposure time, yes. Decrease exposure time, yes. Decrease distance between the person and the source, no. Increase distance between source and person, so the answer will be B. Question 36 says, which list correctly shows the planets in descending order of distance from the sun? So we need to move from the outside towards the inside of the solar system, and the choices all contain the outer planets. So the outermost planet is Neptune, starting from Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn, then Jupiter. So the answer is C. Question 37 says the sun radiates most of its energy in 3 regions of electromagnetic spectrum. In the pie chart, region 1 is infrared radiation and region 2 is visible radiation, and the remaining one will be ultraviolet, so the answer is C. Question 38 says the diagram shows a comet moving in an elliptical orbit around the sun. At which position is the comet moving with the greatest speed? So the comets speed up towards the sun and slow down away from the sun, so the greatest speed would be the closest to the sun, so we choose A. Question 39 says nuclear reactions in the sun release large quantities of energy. Which statement about this process is correct? It involves the fission, no. It involves fusion, not from helium to hydrogen. It's from hydrogen to produce helium, so the answer is D. Question 40 says the table gives data about 4 planets in our solar system. So we have Uranus, which is far from the sun, negative 195, Earth 15, planet X, which is unknown, and planet Y unknown, negative 65 and negative 140. So planet X is farther from the sun than the Earth because it has a lower temperature. So it would be Mars, not Mercury. Mercury is closer to the sun, so it has higher temperature. And planet Y is closer to the sun than Uranus because it has a higher temperature. Negative 140 is higher than negative 195. So closer to the sun would be Saturn, not Neptune. So we choose A. So this was the end of the exam. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful to you. Keep practicing, and I will see you in another video.